apple people, and welcome back to Coffee Over Apples. My name is Steph. Today I have for you a video that I was tagged in to do quite a while ago by the lovely Rachel over at Let Me in the Library for her original Positions book tag based off of the Ariana Grande album Positions. So right off the bat, I have to say thank you, Rachel, so much for tagging me to do this video. I know that I only do about one tag a month, so this tag has been a while in the making, but I'm really excited to do this original tag. It's got some really great questions, so kudos to Rachel for coming up with these questions. They are absolutely fantastic. Before I start talking about my answers to the questions in this tag video, I do have to say that I didn't really listen to Ariana Grande's album until I was tagged to do this video. I don't know what the fandom is called for Ariana Grande, but I am not a insert fandom here. Thank you, Rachel, for pushing me to listen to a kind of music that I wouldn't usually listen to. Am I a fan after this? Not really, but I appreciate the questions in this tag so much, and I'm still super excited to do this video. Each of the questions in this video are based off of a song in the Positions album. So, question number one. Question number one is Shut Up, a book that you just can't shut up about. This was my second favorite book of 2020. I can't stop talking about it because it's just still so relevant, and it's gonna be relevant for a very long time. Everyone and their mom needs to read this book. It talks so much about inequalities in the justice system, and we're following Bryan Stevenson, the author, who created the Equal Justice Initiative since I believe he started it in like the late 1980s and was working towards equal representation for persons of color who are specifically on death row or in difficult situations where they can't acquire proper lawyer representation. So hard-hitting, I cried 5 times, and not just like pat the tissue and then keep reading cry. I mean like really ugly in my car. The person next to me probably thought I was having a heart attack cry. They probably thought that like my marriage had just ended. That's how bad I was crying. It was that level of cry. So if you need a book that is going to tear your heart out, read this one. 34 plus 35, a book you stayed up all night reading. I freaking love the Illuminae series, and Obsidio is the last book in that series. It was so much fun. This is the conclusion to the trilogy, and my goodness, I just needed to know what was gonna happen to these characters. This series is so fast-paced, and in each one we're following a different set of characters. My goodness, I mean, the visuals in this are like super stunning. If you guys don't know that these books are very visually interesting, nothing is really in classic format. It's a lot of text messages, emails. We're reading everything through correspondence or transcripts, and it's just so much fun. If you haven't picked up the Illuminae series, coming from someone who doesn't really read YA, but you're looking for a really fun time, definitely pick up this series. But Obsidio is the last one in that, and what a conclusion. I have to say, I was impressed. Question number 3 is Motive, a book that left you questioning everything. For this, I'm gonna have to go with Eating Animals by Jonathan Safran Foer. This is a nonfiction study into American animal agriculture, what actually goes into laws regarding the meat industry, and how companies treat the animals that are then slaughtered for supermarkets, for mass market consumption, resources that are provided to individuals working in large butchering warehouses, antibiotics within food. And let's just say that after this book was done, after I listened to this book on audio, I didn't eat meat for a month. I mean, I'm already mostly a vegetarian diet. I only eat meat about 1 to 2 times a week, and that's because it was recommended by my doctor that I do so. So not by choice. If it was by choice, I'd be 100% vegetarian, but I've really struggled with that over the years. That could be a whole nother story time. But anyway, it took me a month to put any kind of meat in my mouth again. And I remember a couple days after reading this that I went to my local supermarket and was standing in the chicken section staring at the meat for probably a good 10 minutes, maybe more. However long it takes for people to start coming over and asking me if everything was all right, because I've been staring at the chicken legs in ghastly horror for a very long time. So yeah, this book was so good, so informative, and I will never look at meat the same again. Question number 4 is Just Like Magic, a book that had all your favorite tropes. My favorite trope of all time was in this little novella. My favorite trope of all time is first contact with aliens, and Becky Chambers did that so phenomenally well in this book. It was fantastic. If you can see the amount of tabs that I have in here for a novella, and I just annotated the crap out of this book, it was absolutely phenomenal. The amount of care and research that went into this writing touched my soul on a level that I will never forget. I don't know anybody who doesn't like this book, and for good reason. It's like a very warm hug. Question number 5 is Off the Table, a book that raised your standard. So if you guys are not new here, then you are already aware that I read a lot of manga. So I count manga and regular books as the same thing, so I'm not afraid to give a manga answer for any question. And I have to go with Neon Genesis Evangelion because I gave every single volume of this series 5 stars. This has raised the bar as far as manga goes for me because it was everything that I wanted. It is sci-fi, apocalyptic, dystopian, set in, well, the future, because when this was written, the future at the time was 2015, but now obviously we're after 2015, so it's the past for us, future for this. It's just giant robot, gory, scientific goodness. It's amazing, amazing, amazing. The next question is 630. A problematic book that you love anyway. I stan A Song of Ice and Fire series so hard. It's not even funny. I love this series so much. I love so many of the characters in this series, but there's one character who is complete trash. And they're trash because they're a villain. It's one of those things that's like, really? It makes absolutely no sense. It comforts me to know that this character dies a very painful, horrible, slow, tragic death, along with any other characters who say any problematic things, and it is not okay for that word, in my opinion, to be used at all. So that doesn't excuse it, but if we can just take that element out of the series, my God, the series is perfection, minus that. It's one of those things, I feel like, and this could be a whole other video, where like, for example, when I read this, there were so many characters and so many things happening in here that went unchecked that at a certain point, it feels like the characters' statements and actions are a reflection on the writer. And I don't feel that happening in here. There's so many balances between good and evil, and just as we have this one character who is a complete trash of a human being, there's other characters who are completely the opposite and do the right thing. So it's kind of like, you know, you kind of have to determine for yourself whether you think that the things that are being done and said are a reflection of the author themselves. That could be a whole nother discussion, but I do not condone the use of that word. That character is garbage. That makes this problematic. George R.R. Martin, please do me a favor and don't ever do anything dumb enough to get yourself canceled, because I need you to finish that last book. Please and thank you. The next question is Safetynet, a book that you immediately knew was going to be 5 stars. So I'm going to have to go with a nonfiction for this one, and I'm gonna have to go with a book that I did a full drawing video review for because I gave this 5 stars, and this is the Period Repair Manual. Now, I know that a lot of people may not be comfortable with mentioning books that are about like reproductive health, but I think that's something that needs to be more widely discussed. This really clarifies questions that I had as a woman who has had periods for years. It answered so many questions about the female human body and the reproductive body that I just never even asked before, and it just provided so much insight. And considering that an extremely large portion of the entire globe has periods, it would be good, I feel, if we understood them a little bit better. So this book was extremely insightful and immediately 5 stars because it answered so many questions and was helpful not just to me, but a lot of other people in my life who have periods. The next question is my hair. A well-known author who you haven't read but are interested in. Definitely gonna have to go with Brandon Sanderson for that because I am participating this year in the year-long Crab-along, which is a cosplay readathon, and I've never read Brandon Sanderson before. I'm super excited to get into some more high fantasy. This is something that I've been wanting to do for a really long time, so I'm really hoping that I like his writing and that his writing works for me, but I guess we'll find out in the end of February when I participate in the Warbreaker live show. The next question is called Nasty, a new release that you can't wait to read. That's gonna go to the 4th book in the Wayfarer series, which is supposed to be coming out fairly soon. It is The Galaxy and the Ground Within. I've been reading the Wayfarer series since the new year started as part of the Wayfarers Read-Along hosted by the Sci-Fi Book Club that I co-host, the Interstellar Book Club, and I freaking love Becky Chambers so much. Like, her writing just makes me so happy. So I can't wait. Like, I just, I don't know if this is the last book, but I hope it's not because I'm gonna be sad. I just want this happiness forever, and I want to find more books in this hopeful utopian sci-fi genre. The next question is Westside, your favorite series. Do I need to repeat it? I feel like I've said it dozens of times on this channel. You guys know that I am a hardcore Stephen King fan and that I love the Dark Tower series. Sci-fi, western, fantasy, strange goodness. The movie did absolutely no justice for this book, even though the actors themselves were amazing. I don't even know what that was for the movie. It just didn't follow the story at all. It was completely, I don't even know words I don't have. But this series is amazing. I had so much fun with it. I definitely want to do a reread eventually, but you know, these books are chunkers and there's 7 of them. Technically there's 8, because there's like a sequel, there's like an prequel, I guess. The next question is called Love Language, a comfort book that you keep returning to. So this is actually a self-help book. I don't have the first one, which is called You Are a Badass, but I do have the You Are a Badass and Making Money. These are by Jen Sincero. These are self-help books. The information in here is not revolutionary. It's just like very positive. It is providing you different perspectives, and it's more of like affirmations, and it just makes you feel good, you know? So after reading these books, I felt really motivated, so I like reading them as motivators. Sometimes I will go through this and like just pull out a few small sections that I need to remind myself how much of a badass I know that I am. So I definitely think that if you are looking for a very motivating self-help book, check out the You Are a Badass books. For the question titled Positions, a book that subverted a cliche. Okay, so in sci-fi, everybody who reads and watches a lot of sci-fi is probably super familiar with the space traverser walks into a bar and there's an alien band playing, and eventually a shootout or a skirmish breaks out, and they're in there getting all this covert knowledge. That didn't happen in The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, and I was so thankful for that, because that trope, that cliche moment happens so often in sci-fi that it's actually very tiring. I feel like I'm just bored with it, you know? Not to say that we don't have characters entering strange situations where we learn about alien species, because that is amazing and that does happen here, but it's not in a bar, there's not an alien band playing, and they're not at a table covertly asking someone in a hood for some top secret information. It doesn't happen. For the song Obvious, the question is, a book you loved from a genre you don't normally read. If you guys know me, you'll know that I'm not the biggest YA reader. YA is something that I really struggle with, but that doesn't mean that I haven't found gems. So I have to go with Anne of Green Gables, because this is technically a classic YA, and up to this point I've read the first 2 books in the Anne of Green Gables series. Absolutely loved them. Anne is so sweet. I just wish that Anne was a member of my family. I wish Anne was my little sister. Like, absolute adorable, pure-hearted perfection. The last question is POV, a book you'd love to see from a different point of view. Okay, so hear me out on this. I feel like I would like to know more about what Hermione was up to throughout the Harry Potter series, but I don't want to support J.K. Rowling. So if anyone knows about a fanfic that gives more Hermione backstory, I am here for it. Please send it my way in the comments below. But I feel like she was always up to something, or she was off doing her own thing and coming to save the day, and we did get some explanation of that through the book, but I feel like Hermione deserves her own book. J.K. Rowling, I am not giving you permission to write that. Fanfics, please. Thank you so much, Rachel, for tagging me to do this video. This was a lot of fun, and I hope that you liked my Ariana Grande inspired look. I'm gonna be tagging 4 people to do this video. First, I'm going to be tagging Eric over at Break Even Books, because Eric has tagged me to do quite a few videos, and I've been wanting to tag Eric to do a video, but I feel like he's done almost every tag there is. So I'm pretty sure this is one that he has not done or hasn't been tagged in. So Eric, here you go. I'm also gonna tag Spence over at Sphinx Reads, Sarah over at Sarah's Coffee Cup. I am doing a year-long buddy read of the Inuyasha manga with Sarah. I'm also going to tag Nana over at Lit Nana. Nana is one of the co-hosts for the monthly manga book club, the host club that I run with every month. Alright guys, that is it for this video. I post new videos every week. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you like this kind of content. All of the individuals mentioned will be linked in the description down below, along with the questions and the original tag. Okay, catch you later. Bye!
What's it making, Mr. Wonka? Mr. Wonka?